Next on Sisterhood of the Second Act.
Historically, spring and summer are the best times to sell a house. As interest rates climb, does that mean buying or selling a house will become more difficult? National real estate news doesn't always represent what's going on in your local market. Realtor Monica nicely explains how to find out what's going on in your real estate market, as well as how to find the best realtor to suit your needs. Spring and summer also bring out the scammers. Julie Wheeler is president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau serving Western Virginia. She's here to tell us how to recognize scammers and determine if the advertisements you see are truthful. We'll meet both of these women on this edition of Sisterhood of the Second Act.
Pat Lucas is committed to providing independent financial advice to help women build wealth and security. Call Pat at 540-798-8104, 540-798-8104. Securities and investment advisory services are offered solely through Equity Services Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, 4401 Starkey Road, Roanoke, Virginia 24018, 540-989-4600. Cabby Fashions take you from the boardroom to the beach. Dress for a garden party or a night on the town. Independent cabby stylist Darlene Marshall will make sure you look your best no matter what the occasion. She'll bring the store to your home for you and your friends or schedule a private consultation. Call Darlene 540-330-6819, 540-330-6819, or find her on Instagram at Dapper Darling, on Facebook at Darlene Marshall Independent Cabby Stylist.
I'm gonna be an oak tree.
I think I'll be a dogwood tree.
My kids say they be looking for a thorny tree for me.
With Evergreen, you can be a tree. Our biodegradable urn combines your ashes, natural soil additives, and a native tree of your choice. Be a tree and grow for tomorrow.
I want to be a tree.
Learn more at evergreenmemorialtrust.com.
See where a grateful nation remembers its heroes, and where Thomas Jefferson came to relax. Where small town charm is just down the road from big outdoor adventures. Find peace and quiet, as well as the sounds of family fun. Destination Bedford is located where the Piedmont Plateau meets the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. Where ordinary ends, Bedford begins.
Now from the Fox Radio Roanoke studios, this is Sisterhood of the Second Act.
Welcome to Sisterhood of the Second Act. I'm Denise Allen Membrano. Many people think as interest rates rise, home sales will slow. That's not necessarily the case. What you hear in the national news may not be the conditions that exist in your market. Realtor Monica nicely joins us now to talk about how to determine the conditions in your market and find a realtor that you can trust and who will help you in all situations. All home situations, I should say. Thanks for joining us today, Monica.
Thanks for having me.
As we said, traditionally summer, spring are the best times to sell a home. Why is that?
Some of that is related to kids in school and school schedules. Also, temperatures and weather conditions. Oftentimes people don't want to be moving when it's cold or, if they may have snow. The weather's a little more unpredictable in the winter months. Also, curb appeal. Mm-hmm. Homes tend to look better when the grass is green and the flowers are blooming.
And the people looking feel better too.
Right.
It's all psychology. So if we're talking about buying or selling a home, how do we find out what the conditions are like in our market? Because like we mentioned in the introduction, what you hear on the national news may not apply to where you live.
Exactly. You can check with your local realtor association. In Roanoke, it's just the Roanoke Valley Association of Realtors. They have a website and there's some resources on there. But you can also talk with a local realtor. They're going to be able to give you some numbers, sales numbers, number of listings, average home price, that kind of thing. and they're going to be able to give you some information based on their experience.
And we are talking with Realtor Monica Nicely about real estate conditions in local markets. And what kind of research can someone do as they try to decide whether they're going to buy or sell? What can they do on their own before they talk to a realtor? Or what should they know before they talk to a realtor?
They should definitely speak with a lender. If you're looking to sell, you want to make sure that you have the credit and the ability to get another mortgage and pay for another home. You also want to know how much you can afford. And the same thing if you're a buyer. You just want to know that your credit is okay, and you want to be looking in the right price range.
When you start looking for a house for someone, do you ask them if they've been approved by a bank, or have they gone that route? Do you tell them they do need to do that first?
I do, because oftentimes people would be looking in the wrong price range. And even if they have spoken with a lender and the lender gives them a pre-approval amount, they really need to find out how that translates to a monthly payment. Because just because you can afford something on paper doesn't mean that you're comfortable with that price range when it comes to your monthly budget.
Yeah, that's a good point, because you say, oh wow, I can get a loan for that amount, and then all of a sudden the first mortgage payment is due, and
Right.
they're like, yikes.
And if your payment is more than what you want, that influences the rest of your life, your ability to travel or go out to dinner, things like that. So they definitely need to look at the whole picture, not just a pre-approval amount.
So someone has decided they want to buy or sell. Where should they start looking for that realtor? How do you find a realtor?
Well, first you should call me. But I think the best way is to consult with family and friends that have bought or sold real estate recently. They're going to have feedback, positive or negative, and they may be able to put you in touch with somebody that is a good fit.
So what kind of questions should we ask? Let's say we may be new to an area, we don't know no one's recommended anybody. So what kind of questions should we ask before hiring a realtor?
I find that buyers hiring a realtor, a lot of times it's a matter of personality. Everybody needs to be on the same page, and you want to have reasonable expectations. Often it is a conversation may be enough, but you may need to look at a home or two before you know that it's a good fit. Personality is a big thing. This is going to be your biggest purchase. And if you're looking to sell a home, you first of all want somebody that's going to hire a professional photographer. Even though it's a seller's market and homes are going fast, you still need and deserve professional pictures. Also, discuss a marketing plan. If you work from home, you need to take that into consideration. Pets, kids, your availability to get out in a hurry if somebody wants to come look. So you need to be prepared for all of those scenarios. So an honest conversation up front will go a long way.
And so do you talk to your clients or potential clients about that? Like,
absolutely.
You bring up all those points?
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. I never thought of some of those things before, like getting out of the house quickly.
Right. Well, for a realtor, we look at the showing instructions, and oftentimes it'll say, people need an hour's notice, or they have small kids and dogs that have to be removed, so they need more notice than that. Some workarounds could be the first weekend you're on the market, you go out of town. Pets are tough, especially if you're at work during the day. Then what do you do about your pet when people are coming in to look? So those things are important.
You mentioned a word of mouth. Is that how you find your clients, or how do you find your clients?
I get a lot of clients by word of mouth and repeat clients, but also referrals from people that are in the industry. Maybe it could be a home inspector or an electrician. Some of it is just relationship based. relationships within the community. It may be a hairdresser or a dentist.
Now, we are talking with Realtor Monica Nicely about local real estate markets and how to find a realtor. So let's say we've chosen that we want to buy or sell a home. Let's say sell our home. What steps should we take to get ready to do that?
So the first, or one of the first things is all these little repairs that you didn't get around to, I would do those first. If they're material defects that could be found during a home inspection, if you can do them or hire a handyman, it can save you a lot of money. Once they're found in a home inspection, they have to be done by a licensed contractor. The other thing is when my clients are going to sell a home, I will often go over, meet with them, and we go room by room. And we make a list of things that absolutely need to be done and things that should be done. Whether it's organizing, purging, shifting some furniture around to make a room look bigger, and we just make a to-do list.
Yeah, because you can be surprised if you've lived in a home for a number of years, what you have left. Are these steps different if you're moving into a retirement community or assisted living?
So if you are looking to sell and you are moving into independent assisted living, that kind of thing, you've got to purge. You've got a lot of stuff that you're going to need to find homes for. But I also recommend before listing your home to make sure that the community you hope to move to has room, or to get on a list. Some of them have very long waiting lists, and you need to take that into consideration and have a backup plan if you're going to list your home.
That's good advice. Now we're just about to wrap up. As we move through 2023, what kind of circumstances could impact the real estate market in our communities?
Interest rates. Some people have already been impacted by the interest rates. The popular saying right now, though, is marry the house, date the rate. Go ahead and get your dream home under contract. You can always refinance. And inventory. Real estate is supply and demand, and right now the inventory is very low. It's a seller's market, which is great for sellers, but the competition for buyers is pretty tough. So you have to have a good plan if you're going to be able to get a home under contract.
Okay, thank you, Monica. We really appreciate the information today.
Thanks for having me.
And we will have Monica's contact information at sisterhoodofthesecond.com in today's show notes. And when we come back, spring and summer may be a great time to sell a home, but scammers like it too. It's a good time for a con. We'll learn how to avoid them when we talk with Julie Wheeler right after this.
I'm going to be an oak tree.
I think I'll be a dogwood tree.
My kids say they be looking for a thorny tree from me.
With Evergreen, you can be a tree. Our biodegradable urn combines your ashes, natural soil additives, and a native tree of your choice. Be a tree and grow for tomorrow.
I want to be a tree.
Learn more at evergreenmemorialtrust.com.
Pat Lucas is committed to providing independent financial advice to help women build wealth and security. Call Pat at 540-798-8104, 540-798-8104. Securities and investment advisory services are offered solely through Equity Services Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, 4401 Starkey Road, Roanoke, Virginia 24018, 540-989-4600.
See where a grateful nation remembers its heroes, and where Thomas Jefferson came to relax. Where small town charm is just down the road from big outdoor adventures. Find peace and quiet, as well as the sounds of family fun. Destination Bedford is located where the Piedmont Plateau meets the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. Where ordinary ends, Bedford begins.
There's more Sisterhood of the Second Act coming up after this.
You are cheap.
No, I'm not.
You are cheap.
No, I'm not.
You are cheap.
No, I'm not.
You are cheap.
Well, maybe I am.
If you're buying a diamond ring for your wife, it's not cool to be cheap. If you're buying airline tickets, it's very cool to be cheap and called Trip Amigo, where you can fly anywhere in the world and save up to 75% on over 500 airlines and 300,000 hotels. Plus, rental cars and vacation packages. Visit family, friends, or go on a once-in-a-lifetime vacation. Go ahead, be cheap. We have special fares we're not allowed to publish. When you book your airline reservations with Trip Amigo, you'll spend your travel money when you get there, not by getting there. Call Trip Amigo now and mention the travel code AMIGO and save even more. Call Trip Amigo now.
800-772-4165. 800-772-4165. 800-772-4165. That's 800-772-4165.
Once again from the Fox Radio Roanoke Studios, Sisterhood of the Second Act. Welcome back to Sisterhood of the Second Act. I'm Denise Allen Membrano. The weather is getting warmer and you're starting to feel great. Maybe you want to do some work around the house, new windows, get your driveway paved, a new roof. There are plenty reputable companies out there that can do the job. There are also a lot of other companies that want to just take your money. So how do you know the difference? Julie Wheeler is here to help. She's president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau, serving Western Virginia. And I want to thank you for stopping by today. This is kind of a topic we tackle every year. You've been here many times to talk about these things. Unfortunately, no matter what the season, it's always a scam season.
Well, there's always opportunities for that. So that's why we're all about educating.
So how do we know that during the warm weather months, what do we look for when someone's coming to our door? Are you guys seeing any particular scams right now?
Well, if you are have somebody knock on your door and they tell you they've done some work for a neighbor, maybe they've cleaned their gutters, fixed their roof, paved their driveway, and they have materials left over or they have a little extra time and they'll give you a great deal, you really want to step back from that and say, okay, before I do any work like this, I really need to do my homework. I need to get multiple quotes, and I really don't want to rely on somebody who's coming door to door. Unfortunately, a lot of times these folks are from out of the area or out of state even, and when you have a problem, they're not around, or they either do substandard work or they take your money and don't come back and finish the work.
Yeah, we do see a lot of that. It's kind of hard on the reputable contractors to be respected when those things happen. Some of these things happen year after year. Do they evolve, or does staying low tech for them help them maintain the scam?
Well, that particular one, the door-to-door, is pretty low tech, obviously, and while it doesn't change, their pitch may change a little bit of what they're telling you. They may want to take you to the bank to get cash so that you don't have any recourse. You didn't write them a check, you didn't use a credit card. They may want to use one of the payment apps where you can't get the money back. So that's how they have evolved technology-wise. But as far as the actual pitch and the going door to door, that's pretty much the same.
So what are some red flags that we might take notice of that we say we should avoid this person, even if it is a company? What are some of these red flags?
Well, if they're knocking on your door and they want you to make a decision right now, they don't want to give you time to do your homework, they're asking you for money up front is a big one. They're not putting anything in writing. They're not giving you a written quote or a written contract. If you sign a contract in your home, you have 3 days to rescind it because it's outside a normal place of business. So if they come in, they take your money, you don't sign a contract, they do the work, or they halfway do the work and they're gone, you don't have any recourse on that. So that's something you want to steer clear of. You want to deal with someone local, someone that you know where they are. I don't care if that person tells you they're giving you a lifetime warranty. If you can't find them, what does it matter? What good is it?
Right. So how do you check that? I mean, do they have to have brick and mortar? Do you have to know their address? I mean, is that what you need to do?
Well, they don't have to have brick and mortar necessarily, but you do need to have a street address as a contact. So, a lot of contractors operate out of their homes. They don't have physical offices. So that's fine, but you need that physical address. If they have brick and mortar, that's great as well, a business office. But without that phone number and street address, if you have a problem, you can't find them. And that's the biggest issue.
We are talking with Julie Wheeler. She's president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau serving Western Virginia. And the BBB has a great website. So how can we use it to find a reputable business?
Well, first of all, we accredit businesses. We fully vet them. We vet them based on their market experience, how long they've been in business, do they have the proper competency licensing in place. That's very important for home improvement and those types of service industries. So you can have confidence there that you're getting a good company if you get one that has the accredited seal by them. We have business profiles on both accredited businesses and non-accredited businesses. So if you go to bbb.org and say plumber near me, it's going to list, and then you can check the box that you only want to see accredited plumbers. And that's will come up, and then you can pull up their profile and read about them and see, one of our standards is to be free from an unusual volume of complaints. In some industries, you just are going to get an occasional complaint. It's very difficult for a business to never have an unhappy customer. Doesn't necessarily mean the business did anything. It could be that the customer's being unreasonable. It's not always the customer's right. Now the customer, when you're dealing in customer service, the customer is pretty much right. But unfortunately, we do see some that, are being a bit unreasonable.
And that's one of my questions. So you go to the BBB, you're thinking about doing business with a company, and they have 1, 2, maybe 3 complaints. How much weight do you know? How do you determine whether you should avoid that business or, the complaint may not be something that's going to affect you?
Well, the great thing is you can read them. So you actually can read what the consumer complaint is, and then you can read the business's response. And I always tell you, when you're looking at those complaints, you want to see, did the business respond professionally? Did they try to address the consumer's concerns? It doesn't mean they gave them everything the customer wanted, because that isn't always the right answer. And we maintain, as an objective third party, we can't make them do anything. We can't tell them to do anything, and we can't say, well, the business is right and the consumer is wrong, or vice versa. But we do try to counsel both parties to get to a resolution that is suitable, for both. So when you read those, you're looking for how those are responded. Then you're looking for how they're closed. Is it closed resolved? Is it closed answered? Is it closed unresolved? Accredited businesses will not have unresolved complaints. That they're not maintaining their standards. If we close a complaint unresolved, we would have to terminate their accreditation.
Wow, that was one thing I was curious about, is to how do you help resolve those complaints? So basically, you're a sounding board for each side?
It's conciliation, where the consumer sends their side of the story and asks for what resolution that they desire. We communicate that to the business, and then the business, responds back to us with their side of the story and what they're willing to do, or why what's being requested is not reasonable. So, and then the consumer can come back and say, but wait a minute, they didn't tell us this or didn't respond to that. And we'll go back a couple of times back and forth, trying to get to the best resolution that we can.
You mentioned earlier some of those cash apps like Venmo. There are a lot of scams going on with those apps. What should we look for when we're using these apps, and how can we prevent ourselves from losing the money that we're sending out?
Well, the biggest thing with like Venmo and Zelle, those are like friend apps. You should only be using those to send money back and forth between friends and family. Using those for somebody that you don't know is typically can cause problems for you, because you can't get that money back. Consider it cash. It is gone. So, and if you have the wrong email address and it goes to the wrong person, they don't have to give you that money back. I've had situations where they've refused to give it back when it was just done in error. So you really want to use those sparingly. You're always better to use like a PayPal or a credit card, something where you have some recourse should you have a problem.
Yeah, that's pretty scary with the wrong email address.
Yeah, it is. And, those, a lot of times you see stuff for sale on Marketplace or Craigslist or those things. And a lot of times that's where you can get in trouble with either fraudulent listings and you send money and the item doesn't exist. So you really want to be super careful dealing with that.
We are talking with Julie Wheeler. She's president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau serving Southwest Virginia. And one thing I want to get to before we have to close is your Ad Truth program. Talk about that, because I think truth in advertising is something we really need to investigate.
Well, ad review and truth in advertising is what the BBB was founded on. Over 100 years ago, that's how we started. So it has remained something that we do on a regular basis, which is review ads and ask businesses to make modifications to those ads if we feel like something is misleading or not honest, not truthful. So we do that on a regular basis. Ad Truth is actually a program where a consumer can report an ad. If they think they see something on a website and they're like, wait a minute, that isn't what it was, I didn't want it to look like, whatever, they can report that and we can then try to investigate that through our ad review program. There are also some good educational information out there about how to evaluate an ad. Unfortunately, the internet and social media gave us this whole new wild, wild west without a whole lot of regulation to where they can put anything out there. The free offers that you end up giving a credit card and now you've got a subscription, or the free stuff they're going to send you and you end up with a subscription and you can't get it canceled. So getting a handle on that and knowing what you're looking at and being careful so you don't fall into those traps, this program will help you make those evaluations.
That I think is so valuable, especially the information you talk about that helps people identify.
Right.
This is what you should look for. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing this valuable information. We really appreciate it.
It's always my pleasure to be here.
And we will have the Better Business Bureau serving Western Virginia contact information on our show notes at sisterhoodofthesecondact.com. And we'll be back to wrap up the show right after this.
Looking for your first home or retirement home? Realtor Monica Nicely can help you find it. Whether you're moving in or out of the Roanoke region, call Monica 540-449-2019, 540-449-2019. Alcova Mortgage Loan Officer Jonathan Sweat helps you seal the deal with the loan to suit your needs with great rates and terms. Call Jonathan 540-314-8843, 540-314-8843.
Alcova Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 40508, MLSConsumerAccess.org. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to credit approval.
In a region known for its beautiful mountain surroundings, our vibrant arts community makes the Allegheny Highlands a more colorful place to live and visit. Our passion for the arts is endless, and it's uniquely Allegheny.
I would like to thank Monica Nicely and Julie Wheeler for being with us today. Monica taught us how to determine what's going on in our local real estate market, which may differ greatly from what we see on the national news. Julie gave us tips on how to keep our money in our pockets and out of the hands of scammers. I'm Denise Allen Membrano. We'll see you next week on another edition of Sisterhood of the Second Act.